Civilizations from around the world have left many traces over time with their unique cultures, beliefs, and historical records. In different ways, each has witnessed heroic stories and created fascinating elements of their own era. Some, however, have attracted far more attention than others. Civilizations such as ancient Egypt, the Aztecs, and the Maya are undoubtedly in this group. But the civilization that has aroused the most interest, also due to the influence of popular culture, is Rome. Rome played a major role in shaping the history of humanity. Many important inventions, people, and art were the products of this civilization. Moreover, Rome's worldview was not limited to its own time, but also deeply influenced the modern world. Speaking of popular culture, what iconic features of Rome are we most familiar with? Is it the Scutum shield? Perhaps the dramatic death of Julius Caesar? Or perhaps the deadly gladiatorial fights in huge arenas? Yes, these are the most well-known symbols of Rome. But there are others that have disappeared over time. By the end of this video, you'll discover some species that no longer exist, buried in the dust of this hell amphitheater. These arenas, often called venationes, imported animals that were not naturally found in the region. The most prominent and highly iconic of these is the Barbary lion. This Panthera leo is considered a subspecies of the modern-day African lion, and records show that a small population of them lived in the Atlas deserts and mountains in Africa. They survived in artificial habitats such as zoos until the late 19th century. Modern reports say that before their extinction, these lions were about 37% heavier than modern-day African lions and had large, bushy manes that extended from their heads to their necks, under their bellies, and even down their hind legs. The striking physical characteristics that clearly distinguished them from African lions made these animals one of the favorite spectacles in Rome. Apart from gladiatorial fights, they were often used in lion fights. In these fights, the lions were pitted against each other, or against large predators that could match them, which we will discuss in this video. There were even brutal games where lions fought against dogs. But these games almost always ended in the dog's favor. Lions were also compared to prisoners of war and were often starved by their trainers to make them more aggressive. The prevalence of their use in the arena has led researchers to wonder whether the Romans contributed to the extinction of the Barbary lion. Many believe that the Romans had little impact on the Barbary lion because they survived long after the Roman Empire and only became extinct in the 19th century with the widespread use of firearms. But the Romans' hunger for exotic animals was unquenchable. That's why the Caspian tiger, one of the largest tigers to have lived in the last 1,000 years, was brought into the arenas. Scientifically known as Panthera tigris virgata, it was native to Iran, Mesopotamia, Turkey, the Caucasus, and had small populations in other parts of Asia, such as Afghanistan and China. Through the remains of this creature, it was possible to observe that the closest living relative of the Caspian tiger is the Siberian tiger, and that the two are very similar, including in size. These tigers weighed up to 240 kilograms, but some individuals were of extraordinary size. One killed in northern Iran was recorded as being 3.6 meters long from head to tail tip, almost identical to the longest Siberian tiger ever observed, which was 3.5 meters. Some sources described it as being the same size as the local horses. After that, not much is known about these animals until around 43 BC, when the geographer Pomponius Mela reported that these extinct tigers were extremely fast, so fast that even horsemen could not outrun them. It was also around 43 BC that the Caspian tiger was first recorded. The Roman writer Varro noted that Caspian tigers were known for their speed and ferocity, and that until then, they were almost impossible to capture alive. It was also popular at the time to capture tiger cubs, but the idea was not very successful because the Caspian tiger's overprotective maternal instincts would not calm down until the cub was returned, or the rider who took the cub entered a crowded town. Nevertheless, the Caspian tigers were not extinct even during the Roman Empire, but unfortunately, they have not survived to the present day. Their extinction is thought to have nothing to do with their use in the Roman Empire, but rather with Russia's colonization of Turkestan. They came under serious threat in the mid-1950s. Over time, The last remaining strongholds have fallen, and the last sighting was in 1997, when 2 Caspian tigers were reported captured in the Logman district of Afghanistan. However, the fate of these tigers is mysterious, and it is thought that the war in the region may have wiped out the few tigers that remained. In conclusion, while the Caspian tiger may have left a legacy of fear-inducing characteristics of its time, strength alone does not always ensure survival. I think we've talked a lot about predators. These historical sources also include a harmless and fascinating creature that may have been encountered by the earliest Roman civilizations. Palaeoloxodon tiliensis, or commonly known as the Tilos Dwarf Elephant. Tilos is one of the islands off the coast of Greece, where fossils of a very small elephant have been found. Research has revealed that these fossils belong to the Palaeoloxodon species. This is an extinct genus of elephant with 10 different species. The species varied considerably in size and the regions they lived in. For example, one of the largest members of the genus, Palaeoloxodon pneumaticus, has sometimes even been compared to dinosaurs. Although still controversial, some scientists consider it to be the largest land mammal that ever lived on Earth. However, some members of these giants migrated using land bridges during periods of low sea levels and were then stranded on islands when sea levels rose. Due to limited resources, elephants underwent a process of adaptation called insular dwarfism and gradually decreased in size over generations. Simply put, they didn't need the giant size of their African cousins. One of the most extreme examples of this adaptation process is a species called Palaeoloxodon falconeri. These elephants were sometimes less than 1 meter tall. However, this species was probably never seen by the Romans because it had long since disappeared. The Tilos Dwarf Elephant has a different story. Tilos Dwarf Elephant is considered one of the last elephant species in Europe. The fossils were found in the island's Harcadio Cave, and to date, the remains of 45 different individuals and more than 13,300 fossil fragments have been identified. According to scientists, the extinction of these elephants may be linked to the shrinking natural habitat on the islands, the decline of freshwater resources, and early human activities. If these elephants persisted longer than the last fossils found, it is possible that they may have encountered the Romans. Tilos was visited by the Roman civilization and even hosted settlements at times. Although there is no direct evidence of interaction, if they did meet, it is likely that these elephants were hunted because of their small size. Interestingly, a mosaic found in Egypt has been observed by researchers as evidence that these elephants survived. This mosaic depicts a scene dating back to 1400 BC. An animal presented by a group of Syrians as tribute to the Egyptians is interpreted by some experts as an elephant. Of course, this claim is highly controversial, and there are different interpretations. However, it is interesting to imagine the Romans encountering such a creature. But this was not the end. The Atlas Mountains were still home to one of the most powerful predators around, the Barbary bear. While this giant predator was inherently threatening, it was sometimes visually depicted in a very different way when artistic depictions looked at it. In particular, a shorter head was often emphasized. Pliny the Elder, who did extensive research on the wild animals brought into the arenas of the Roman Empire at the time, discussed such large predators in great detail in his Natural History, written between 77 and 79 AD. The work was mostly about large predators from the mountainous regions of North Africa. However, while the Barbary bear is not included here in its entirety, it was described as one of the wild animals encountered in Roman arenas, with names such as North African bear or African mountain bear. One of the main reasons for the extinction of these powerful animals was their constant hunting. But not only that, barbarian bears were also used in special games for entertainment in arenas, most interestingly in gladiatorial fights. The Romans had to face these terrifying animals from time to time. Such fearful encounters were often organized as part of large animal fights known as venazione. The barbarian bear's name was often referred to as Ursus in the arenas, a reference to its scientific name, Ursus arctos crotheri. However, the impact of the barbarian bear and all these unique creatures I have described in the video was not just about their intimidation. These animals captivated the Roman people with their might in the arena and became a symbol of courage, strength, and heroism. That's all for today. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to share what you know about these unique animals with your friends or tell me about them in the comments, I will be happy to read them. So, see you both in the comments, and until next time.